Hello and welcome to another episode of Manifesting the Miraculous. This is Aurelia from Aureliaslight, and I am so happy to have you here on my channel. Tonight's episode is another chapter from the book, The Fifth Agreement, a Toltec wisdom book. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing every mind is a world, and the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. When we are born, there are no symbols in our mind, but we have a brain and we have eyes, and our brain is already capturing images that come from light. We start perceiving light. We become familiar with light, and the reaction of our brain to light is an endless play of images in our imagination, in our mind. We are dreaming. From the Toltec point of view, our whole life is a dream because the brain is programmed to dream 24 hours a day. When the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When the brain is asleep, there is no frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly. Even with the brain awake, we have a tendency to daydream, and the dream is constantly changing. The imagination is so powerful that it takes us to many places. We see things in our imagination that other people don't see. We hear things that other people don't hear, or maybe we don't, depending on the way we dream. Imagination gives movement to the images we see, but the images only exist in the mind, in the dream. Light images, imagination, dreaming. You are dreaming right now. And this is something you can easily verify. Perhaps you've ever noticed that your mind is always dreaming, but if you use your imagination for just a moment, you will understand what I'm trying to explain to you. Imagine that you are looking into a mirror. Inside the mirror is a whole world of objects, but you know that what you see is just a reflection of what is real. It looks like it's real, it looks like the truth, but it's not real, and it's not the truth. If you try to touch the objects inside the mirror, you only touch the surface of the mirror. What you see inside the mirror is just an image of reality, which means this is a virtual reality. It's a dream, and it's the same kind of dream that humans dream when the brain is awake. Why? Because what you see in the mirror is a copy of reality that you create with the capacity of your eyes and your brain. It's an image of the world that you construct with your mind, which means it's how your brain and mind perceive reality. What a dog sees in the mirror is how the dog's brain perceives reality. What an eagle sees in the same mirror is how the eagle's brain perceives reality. And it's a different point of view and perspective from your own. Now imagine looking into your eyes instead of a mirror. Your eyes perceive light that's being reflected from millions of objects outside of your eyes. The sun sends light all around the world, and every object reflects lights. Billions of rays of light come from everywhere, go inside your eyes, and project images of objects in your eyes. You think you are seeing all of these objects, but the only thing you are really seeing is light that's being reflected. Everything you perceive is a reflection of what is real, just like the reflections in a mirror, except for one important difference. Behind the mirror, there is nothing, but behind your eyes is a brain that tries to make sense of everything. Your brain is interpreting everything you perceive according to the meaning you give to each symbol, according to the structure of your language, according to all of the knowledge that was programmed in your mind. everything you perceive is being filtered through your entire belief system. And the result of interpreting everything you perceive by using everything you believe is your personal dream. And this is how you create an entire virtual reality in your mind. Perhaps you can see how easy it is for humans to distort what we perceive. Light reproduces a perfect image of what is real, but we distort the image by creating a story with all of the symbols and opinions that we learned. We dream about it with our imagination, and by agreement, we think that our dream is the absolute truth, when the real truth is that our dream is a relative truth, a reflection of the truth that is always going to be distorted by all of the knowledge we have stored it in our memory. Many masters have said that every mind is a world, and it is true. The world we think we see outside of us is actually inside of us. It's just images in our imagination. It's a dream. We are dreaming constantly, and this has been known for centuries, not only in Mexico by the Toltec, but in Greece, in Rome, in India, and Egypt. People all over the world have said, life is a dream. The question is, are we aware of it? When we aren't aware that our mind is always dreaming, it's easy to blame everyone and everything outside of us for all the distortions in our personal dream, for anything that makes us suffer in life. When we become aware that we are living in a dream, that we are the artists that are creating, we take a big step in our own evolution, because now we can take responsibility for our entire creation. To realize that our mind is always dreaming gives us the key to changing our dream if we are not enjoying it. Who is dreaming the story of your life? You are. If you don't like your life, if you don't like what you believe about yourself, you are the only one who can change it. It's your world. It's your dream. If you are enjoying your dream, that's wonderful. Then continue to enjoy each and every moment. If your dream is a nightmare, if there's drama and suffering, and you are not enjoying your creation, then you can change it. As I'm sure you are aware, there are millions of books in this world written by millions of dreamers with different points of view. The story of you is as interesting as any of those books, and it's even more interesting because your story continues to change. The way you dream when you are 10 years old is completely different from the way you dream when you're 15, or when you are 20, 30, or 40, or the way you dream now. The story you are dreaming today is not the same story that you were dreaming yesterday, or even half an hour ago. Every time you talk about your story, it changes depending on who you're telling the story to, depending on your physical and emotional state at the time, depending on your beliefs at the time. And even if you try to tell the same story, your story is always changing. At a certain point, you find out that it's nothing but a story. It isn't reality. It's a virtual reality. It's nothing but a dream. And it's a shared dream because all humans are dreaming at the same time. The shared dream of humanity, the dream of the planet, was there before you were born. And this is how you learn to create your own art, the story of you. The second agreement: don't take anything personally. Let's use the power of our imagination to create a dream together, knowing that it's a dream. Imagine that you are in a gigantic mall where there are hundreds of movie theaters. You look around to see what's playing, and you notice a movie theater that has your name. Amazing. You go inside the theater and it's empty except for one person. Very quietly, trying not to interrupt, you sit behind that person who doesn't even know you. All that person's attention is on the movie. You look at the screen, and what a big surprise. You recognize every character in the movie. Your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters, your beloved, your children and your friends. Then you see the main character of the movie, and it's you. You are the star of the movie, and it's the story of you. And that person in front of you, well, it's also you, watching yourself act in the movie. Of course, the main character is just the way you believe you are. And so, all the secondary characters, because you know the story of you. And after a while, you feel overwhelmed by everything you just witnessed. And you decide to go to another theater. In this theater, there's also just one person watching the movie, and she doesn't even notice when you sit behind her. You start watching the movie and you recognize all the characters, but now you're just a secondary character. This is the story of your mother's life, and she is the one who's watching the movie with all of her attention. Then you realize that your mother is not the same person who was in your movie. The way she projects herself is completely different in her movie. It's the way your mother wants everyone to perceive her. You know that it's not authentic. She's just acting. But then you begin to realize that it's the way she perceives herself, and it's kind of a shock. Then you notice the character who has your face is not the same person who was in your movie. You say to yourself, this isn't me. But now you can see how your mother perceives you, what she believes about you, and it's far from what you believe about yourself. Then you see the character of your father, the way your mother perceives him, and it's not at all the way you perceive him. It's completely distorted. And so is her perception of all the other characters. You see, the way your mother perceives your beloved, and you even get a little upset with your mom. How dare she? You stand up and get out of there. Then you go to the next theater, and it's the story of your beloved. Now you can see the way your beloved perceives you, and the character is completely different from the one who was in your movie and the one who was in your mother's movie. You can see the way your beloved perceives your children, your family, and your friends. You can see the way your beloved wants to project him or herself, and it's not the way you perceive your beloved at all. Then you decide to leave the movie and go to your children's movie, and you see the way your children see you, the way they see grandpa and grandma, and you can hardly believe it. Then you watch the movies of your brothers and sisters, of your friends, and you find out that everybody is distorting all the characters in their movie. After seeing all of these movies, you decide to return to the first theater to see your own movie once again. You look at yourself acting in your movie, but you no longer believe anything you're watching. You no longer believe your own story because you can see now that it's just a story. Now you know that all the acting you did your whole entire life was really for nothing because nobody perceives you the way you want to be perceived. You can see that all the drama that happens in your movie isn't really noticed by anyone around you. It's obvious that everybody's attention is focused on their own movie. They don't even notice when you're sitting right beside them in the theater. The actors have all of their attention on their story, and that is the only reality they live in. Their attention is so hooked up by their own creation that they don't even notice their own presence, the one who is the observer, observing their movie. In that moment, everything changes for you. Nothing is the same anymore, because now you see what's really happening. People live in their own world, in their own movie, in their own story. They invest all of their faith in that story, and that story is the truth for them. But it's a relative truth, because it's not the truth for you. Now you can see that all of the opinions about you really concern the character who lives in their movie, not in yours. The one who they are judging in your name is a character they create. Whatever people think of you is really about the image they have of you, and the image isn't you. At this point, it's clear that the people you love the most don't really know you, and you don't know them either. The only thing you know about them is what you believe about them. You only know the image you created for them, and that image has nothing to do with the real people. You thought you knew your parents, your spouse, or your children, and your friends very well. The truth is, you have no idea what is going on in their world, what they are thinking, what they are feeling, and what they are dreaming. What is even more surprising is that you thought you knew yourself. Then you come to this conclusion that you don't even know yourself because you've been acting for so long that you've mastered pretending to be what you are not. With this awareness, you realize how ridiculous it is to say, "My beloved doesn't understand me." Nobody understands me. Of course they don't. You don't even understand yourself. Your personality is always changing from one moment to the next according to the role that you're playing, according to the secondary characters in your story, according to the way you are dreaming at the time. At home, you have a certain personality. At work, your personality is completely different. With your female friends, it's one way. With your male friends, it's another way. But all your life, you made the assumption that other people knew you so well when they didn't. They didn't do what you expect them to do, and you took it personally, reacted with anger, and used the word to create a lot of conflict and drama for nothing. And now you can see how easy it is to understand why there is so much conflict, so much drama between humans. The world is populated by billions of dreamers who aren't even aware that people are living in their own world, dreaming their own dream from the one point of view of the main character, which is their only point of view. Everything is all about them. When the secondary characters say something that doesn't agree with them, with their point of view, they get angry and they try to defend their position. They want the secondary characters to be the way that they want them to be, and if they are not, they feel hurt. They take everything personally. With this awareness, you can also understand the solution, and it's something so simple and so logical. Don't take anything personally. Now, the meaning of this second agreement is profoundly clear. This agreement gives you immunity in the interaction you have with the secondary characters in your story. You don't have to concern yourself with other people's points of view. Once you can see that nothing others say or do is about you, it doesn't matter who gossips about you, who blames you, who rejects you, who disagrees with your point of view. All the gossip doesn't affect you. You don't even bother to defend your point of view anymore. You just let the dogs bark, and surely they will bark and bark and bark. And so what? Whatever people say doesn't affect you because you are immune to their opinions and their emotional poison. You are immune from the predators, the ones who gossip to hurt other people, the ones who want to use other people to hurt themselves. Don't take anything personally is a beautiful tool of interaction with your own kind, human to human. And it's a big ticket to personal freedom because you no longer have to rule your life according to other people's opinions. This really frees you. You can do whatever you want to do, knowing that whatever you do has nothing to do with anybody but you. The only person who needs to be concerned about the story of you is you. The awareness changes everything. Remember, awareness of the truth is the first step to self-mastery. And that is what you're going to do right now. You're being reminded of the truth. And now that you understand this truth, Now that you are aware, how can you take anything personally anymore? Once you understand that all humans live in their own world, in their own movie, in their own dream, the second agreement is pure common sense. Don't take anything personally. So this concludes our short but really profound second chapter of this book. Now, just a few things. I think that this chapter could be one of the most liberating teachings and techniques to really find self-liberation and freedom within your own life. I found this a long time ago, and once I started to practice this teaching, in the beginning it was a little hard, but the more that you as an empath and as a mother and one who cares and nurtures and love, it kind of puts space between you and another, but you can still love them and just be who you are. And actually, it helps you become more of who you are in an authentic way. I remember Wayne Dyer had said this quote a long time ago, and I remembered, "What other people think of you is none of your business." So it's the same underlying truth. So everybody is dealing with their own reality in their own way, in their own point of view, with their own traumas, with their own triggers and their own fears, and you are just a projection of what they see. It's really about them, and your reality is totally about you. Again, when you start to master these techniques and really know that you are a divine creator, creating your virtual reality in the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you believe, everything changes. You get to design your life the way you want to, not your mother, not your wife or your husband or your sister or anybody around you, the way you want. And it becomes a whole other way of liberation. And that is really what is sort of occurring on this planet. People are waking up from the dream space, like the dream within the dream, realizing that they're in this play, and what they think is real is really not even real, and they have way more power than they ever have realized. Because if we're in a virtual reality and we're in a game and we're playing these parts, and there are people that like to dominate or control, why wouldn't they want to control the other people in their reality? That would be logical. So when you become aware and awake that this is a virtual reality, this is a game, nobody ever dies. I could attest, because I've died and I've come back. And you realize that you're playing. This is about your evolution, challenging yourself to become the best, most beautiful, transformational version of yourself, closest to God, closest to the divine, closest to the highest aspects of you. Then everything changes, and you can create the world in your virtual reality that you desire. And with that, I leave you for this week, and I will see you next time. I send you so much love and light as usual. And again, check out my music. My new album, Ascension, will be out on September 15th. So it's available for pre-sale now. So get your copy anywhere. That would mean so much to me as an artist if you could pre-order that. And again, my vocal sound healing and music academy is listed on Aureliaslight.com. And check that out. Again, that would be super meaningful and helpful for me as an artist. And again, I send you so much love. Have an amazing week.